Well, hello again, brothers and sisters in Christ. Pastor Mike here. Welcome to Midweek Meditation. This is a wild week. It is VBS week, so plenty of kids here at church, plenty of stuff going on. It is a good day in general. So if I feel a little flabbergasted also as well, my dog is in surgery right now. But regardless of all those sorts of things, Midweek Meditation. Last week we looked at mission and how we can accomplish it. And even though I was a bit, not my head on the swivel as it should be, hopefully the message in the sermon came across that in bearing the gospel, especially as the 12 were sent and especially as we are sent, that the best way to bear the kingdom, to bear the good news of God, is to enact it, to do those things. I tried to bring up that we often remember the actions of people. Sometimes I don't remember, and I don't think I'm the only one that remembers, some of the stuff Sunday school's teachers said to me, but I remember that they were there. They showed up. They cared. And if they cared enough to try to teach me the good news there, then they believed it and they knew it. Hopefully that makes sense. And even numerous encounters that I've had, it is people who act in congruence with what they say and believe that convince me that maybe there's something to it. And that has to do with our mission as well. To live that gospel for a world is the best way of in many ways, convincing people that the gospel is good and true. Not to discredit, not to be, But now, even this week, that's hopefully what we're trying to do with VBS. We're trying to show kids, show little ones that they matter, that we care, that they're important, and that this gospel is important enough. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. And we appreciate the people that are volunteering, working on it, doing those things. But it's key. That is mission. We move to, in many ways, another text this week. Even as we celebrate VBS, it is a very interesting text where in our gospel, it talks about what will happen in ministry. And one of the key things is that, how do we put this? The text really brings up that we are not promised an easy life because we love Jesus. Being a follower of Christ and living that does not promise us we will have no problems. Jesus lays out in our gospel text that discipleship is not necessarily easy. And we're not called to it because it's easy. We're not called to follow Christ because the world will be overjoyed or this, that, and the other. I mean, it's a really interesting transition from last week. We talk about how it's often the actions that we do and are called to do that will change lives. But that doesn't necessarily mean it will be met with joy or thanksgiving at all times. I try to raise up, especially for Christians, that hopefully when we see people doing those things, it sparks joy in us and a desire for our cup to then run over to other people. But sometimes that's not the case. There are times where we will get burned. And Jesus tells us that. I mean, ultimately, if the greatest act of God is being nailed to a tree, there is no promise to safety and security in all these things. And that often has tension with that. I mean, it was funny because when the 12 returned from their mission, and I don't think it was in the text last week, but they're overjoyed, they're amazed at how good things went. But as we see in Acts, and even many of their lives, they were not always met with joy and love and all those other sorts of things. That's not something we like to hear, especially in today's world. But it calls us to realize that just because things aren't necessarily going easy or good doesn't mean we're not being faithful. I think this is an important point. Faithfulness does not guarantee good or ease. We will get pushback, and that is okay, brothers and sisters. As we continue to do stuff, as we continue to live the faith, as we go out in the world and do things, not everybody's going to be like, yay, we love Jesus. And that's okay. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. It doesn't mean we should get angry. It doesn't mean we should push back. It means that our faithfulness is something God calls us to do, and we need to trust Him, ultimately in the end, that the good news will be made known. Hopefully that makes sense, brothers and sisters in Christ. Hopefully that makes sense. That we often fall, I think, into the trap of if we get the results that we want, that means we should keep doing it. I think many churches run into that problem. But often the results we want are not necessarily what the kingdom is about. A hard thing to think about, hard thing to meditate about. But hopefully it's grist for the mill even as we approach Sunday and we deal with those sort of things. Well, hopefully everybody is doing well. Hopefully you are able to get some rest. Hopefully you are overjoyed with breakfast on Sunday morning. If you haven't signed up, please do. But above all, brothers and sisters, if you need anything, let me know. Blessings. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.